do.
Correct. So like I'll turn in this one for my testing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure on that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go through the feedback template, and then there's a couple of things that it's easier to just look at your paper and go through that together. But as far as content, I noted that the narrative, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, it went away and I got a notification. I was like, oh gosh, what just happened? I don't know what happened. Okay. The narrative content is aligned with course content. I did note as far as looking at incorporating the external sources to support your decisions and findings in the narrative. And I'll kind of explain that a little bit more when we go to your paper.
Okay.
But I think once I explain it, you'll understand more what I'm talking about. Overall strengths, you describe data collection strategies and findings in the process of identifying the gaps between actual practice and best practices. You displayed findings in graph form, used a variety of data collection methods, and you identified areas of weakness within each practice. I thought you did a good job using lots of different ways to collect your information. So that was really good.
Thank you.
Overall weaknesses kind of ties into what I was saying. Within each section, the rubric asks that we go back and cite literature review sources regarding best practices as they relate to your findings.
Okay.
So that's something that you'll want to go back and make sure you add. And what I did, like after I kind of went through and explained my data, did an overall analysis of kind of what I identified as areas of strength, what I identified as areas of need. Then I gave a general kind of another paragraph within each section that talked about from the research, what were best practices and how was that seen or not seen from the data results.
Okay.
Like if you go to your paper, like in the empowerment section, that was one. I feel like if you add that, it'll make a lot more, your narrative in general will make a lot more sense.
Uh-huh.
So looking at page 2 to 3 there, where you kind of give that paragraph about empowerment, and then those graphs. I would add a paragraph where you talk about, let's see, it says teachers feel, you talk about you feel like there's a gap for teacher empowerment. And then you gave your graphs there. So the last graph says, do you feel empowered as an educator? And they answered yes or no. After that graph.
Where are you at again? I'm sorry.
I'm on the top of page 4, the bottom of page 3, top of page 4.
Okay.
You see?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So you talk about empowerment being an area of weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you have that graph there that says at the top of page 4, do you feel empowered as an educator? Underneath that would be a nice place to add another paragraph talking about, from your literature review, what does empowerment look like? What are some things that would be in place for teachers to feel empowered?
Okay.
So like you might start with, the candidate understands that to feel empowered, you must be given these opportunities, or, something like that. Whatever from your research from task 1, tie that in with what's not being seen, or why you feel like teachers don't feel, empowered. And that's what kind of is missing from each section. How does it relate to your research of, the candidate knows that best practices are this, and this is important because, or, you know, things like that.
Okay.
Leadership is demonstrated in the way the candidate created and developed the survey, how you compiled your responses, and then how you interviewed a variety of teachers and staff through your instructional rounds and observations. So that was all great leadership. Overall mechanics, you know, I'm hard on you when it comes to
No, that's good
your
because
sentence
Bullis is
structure.
too.
But I did try to help you out some going through and just editing. And so you can go back and see all my notes there for just some sentence structure, grammatical errors there that I made throughout. That'll hopefully be helpful.
I'm not a great.
That's
I'm
okay.
not great at all
That's
with
okay.
grammar.
That's okay. All of my suggestions are out of love.
Oh, I know that.
Okay.
That's the reason I like when you do my favor, because I know you're going to give me the grammar.
It is organized. One thing I did know that if you decide to leave at the very beginning, if you leave how you have the task two description, the instructions, the prompt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you plan to leave that there, but if you do, I would just make sure the font, you know, the formatting follows the same as the rest of your paper. And I would have a heading before your very first paragraph.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I started it out in Google Docs and then transferred it over. It must just not have. I'll look back at that. Yeah, I'm glad you called
And
that.
that happens to me sometimes just before you submit it.
Well, last semester, luckily we had just finished up. Like I just submitted my stuff to Task Stream and got my scores back, and my hard drive and my laptop went down.
You told me
And
that.
so from now on, I make sure I do it in Google Docs because I would hate to lose paper.
Yeah, and I kind of go back and forth all the time. Like I'll do it all in Google Docs, and then I'll download it to my work computer, download it to my home computer, and do a final revision in Word before I turn it in.
Yeah.
But just check over that. And then APA formatting, that's what we just talked about. The overall formatting doesn't necessarily follow APA guidelines if you leave that stuff in there. And the other thing is, like at the very top, you don't have your headings, like with the page number in the right-hand corner. And
oh, yeah. Task 2 and all that.
Yeah.
Page 1, page 2, so on.
Right. So you'll just want to go through and add that. Let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to talk through. The only other thing that was a little bit unclear, I mean, I gave lots of different suggestions or recommendations throughout, but when you get to the end and you're talking about your instructional rounds,
yeah.
I would explain a little bit more about why, like how that came about. Why did you decide to do the walkthrough observations? And how did you come up with what you were looking for in each classroom?
Okay.
I think that would help just for things to be a little bit more clear to the reader.
Yeah.
That's really about all.
Okay. Well, that sounds good.
Yep. How are you coming along with everything else with your readings and questions and?
I'm pretty good. I'm still a little bit confused with the timetable they give us, but trying to think. I finished up chapter 10 stuff. I'm going to finish up our next reading this evening and answer those questions. I think we're supposed to be kind of somewhere right in there. I want to get ahead though next week for sure. through spring break and I was about 2 weeks ahead on the quizzes and things like that. And
Yeah, that's how I was. I got really ahead with the quizzes and questions.
Yep.
And I started getting ahead in the AAPTEL and kind of forgot about the questions.
Yep.
So I was like, oh gosh. So then I've gone back and
Well, it's so different because last time we just had our apps stuff and our peer reviews, and that was it.
Yeah.
And now having all this, but it's coming along. I just want to stay ahead because you never know what's going to come up.
Right. Yeah. Well, I am hoping to finish up my task 3 draft fairly soon. So I'll send that to you, I think, next.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be fine. I'll look forward to it. And
okay. And just let me know, because I know if Gina, I don't want you to be bombarded with having to do both. So I don't think she would mind if she did mine again this time.
Okay.
So whatever.
Yeah, that ain't no problem. I did want to ask you about your 80 hours for an intern. Like,
yep.
what all are you doing for that? Like marking down?
Well, so my job is unique in that pretty much everything that I do is in a leadership role in a lot of things. So I am very regularly leading trainings. This semester in particularly, I've had a lot of district level meetings. I've had to meet with DPI consultants, and really we're trying to problem solve and restructure some things within our district, within our preschool department as a whole. I've happened to have some unique things come up, like some personnel challenges, dealing with some administration challenges, having to come together and problem solve. So all of those things have just come up that I've had to deal with. But like I said, every single week I spend a full day overseeing the screening and initial referral process for our preschool department. And then I meet with district staff for 3 hours every Friday.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah. And then leading my PLC, and
yeah, I've got PLC today.
I've had to be a part of so many interviews. I do not enjoy that.
Now, when you document yours, I know you put the date and how much time it was and what you did on your description part. How much do you add when you're describing it?
So I learned from last semester, I'm adding a little bit more detail than I did in the beginning last time, because that was one thing after I submitted it to the competency folio. Dr. Bullis came back and said that it wasn't, detailed enough, but it's not.
That's why I'm asking. He told me the same.
Yeah, let me just pull mine up because I'm kind of going off of what I submitted last time. Let's see, I haven't updated my spreadsheet since, let me see, February 14th. So I'm a couple weeks behind. But at February 14th, I was already at 84 hours.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I mean,
but let's see. So on February 12th, I met with DPI representative, and I just put discuss problem programming challenges, problem solving, district decisions, restructuring how funds are allocated. If it's a PLC meeting, I just put led PLC meeting. I lead staff development once a month, so I list that, and I put led staff development, and then in parentheses, I just put what the topic was.
Okay. He just kind of threw me off when he talked about adding more detail. And I'm like, some of these I can't really add much to it.
Yeah. So that's what I try to, it's pretty brief, but it's a little bit more detailed than I was doing before. So I'm a coach for our district too. So I have a teacher coach contract, and I'm coaching a teacher through a program all year. So I do teacher observations, debrief, and then she sets goals. So I just wrote that. Review of teacher self-assessment.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do have that competency column as well. So I'm trying to go in and add what competency it addresses to. So that way at the end, when I am working on task 4, or if I'm needing to pull artifacts, like I could easily see what, when I did something related to that competency, and then pull an artifact or talk about that event.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's crazy. We're almost really, I mean, we got one more task and some readings, and that's about it.
Yep.
We got task 4, but it's task 4, I feel
It's-
like takes care of itself throughout the semester.
Right.
So,
Yeah. One thing I'm not sure of is I didn't know when to start logging these hours though, but because our last class ended like the beginning of December.
yeah.
So do we get credit for stuff? I mean, I went ahead and logged them, but they may say that I can't count those. I don't know.
I'm not sure because he had mentioned something about summer. I know of last fall that we could add some of the summer stuff we did.
Right. And I remember we asked Dr. Church at the end of the semester, and he said, go ahead and log them. So anyway.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Well, I hope you have a good rest of the week.
Yes, you do. And if you have any questions when you're looking over kind of my comments or whatever, don't hesitate. Just ask me.
Okay. Have a good one.
All right. You too.
See ya.
Bye.